हाँ वो लाइव पे हो रहा है, लाइव हो गया जो।
Hare Krishna. So am I live?
वो देखो लाइव दिखा
Okay. ठीक है. Hare Krishna. So I welcome all of you for this evening and participating in this web seminar of 5 sheets of holistic health. So let us start this seminar by a short prayer. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So before starting this seminar, I would like to thank Anant Prabhu and Jagannath Prabhu for taking so much pains to make this event happen. The 5 days seminar on the Panch Kosh, the 5 sheets of holistic health. And I would also like to invoke blessings from all the teachers who have taught me this subject, and I'm still learning this subject of the 5 sheets of holistic health, the Panch Kosh. And I would also like to uh, invoke blessings from our Gurudev. So, uh, Vishwas Patak ji, Vaman Rao Abhyankar ji, Madhavanand Prabhu ji, Govind Prabhu ji, Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu ji, then late Shri Ravindra Sharma ji, Mukul Kanetkar ji, and also our Uttam Maheshwari ji, Afle Guru ji, Indumati Kattare ji. So many of the teachers, they have taught us over the years, and hearing from them, we try to implement this concept in our hospital also, the patients, and when they took it, so they got immense benefit out of it. And we thought that this knowledge, I tried to search it in the Google, but there are hardly any books written in English for Panchakosh. So we thought that we should come up with a book. So there was a book written around 1.5 years back, so a handbook on Panchakosh, and people really liked it very much. So when Anant Raghav Prabhuji said that there should be also a seminar in these 5 days, so I was really very much excited to give this. So knowledge, basically the symptom of knowledge is humility, and this Panchakosh knowledge is so very important because we are learning about uh, the concept which can be applied from an individual to all the three levels, the cosmos, that is microcosm, which is inside adhyatma, then macrocosm, which is the adi bhautika, and sorry, adi daivika, and neocosm, that is adi bhautika. So all the three levels, at all the three levels we can understand. Otherwise, just once we understand the knowledge, we understand how insignificant we are. And when we understand how insignificant we are, because we cannot know, when we go inside, the realm inside is also so vast that we cannot go to reach the end. And when we go towards the macrocosm, we cannot, there is no end. Even in the stars and the galaxies, there is no end there also. And even in this our short, in our family, in our city, in our society, in our nation, in the environment, there are so many things to know, and we don't know. So we actually how much do we know about our own family members? So we actually become humble. We understand that yes, there has to be some concept by which I can, or some tool by which I can immediately understand people, understand everything around me, and try to be a part of it, you know. So this kind of humility, in fact, Bharat was unconsciously following this Panchakosh all the while. And in today's system, in the modern, means contrary to that, when we are seeing the modern education, that chance for being humble, that humility, that chance is little less. People become arrogant, they question the existence of God. So there is no need of character to able to get modern education. If you want to learn engineering, science, there is no requirement of character to get it. In fact, in the present state, we see there are so much of law breaking. After a person passes out from the school, he takes up with so many. I'm not talking about everyone, but most of the researchers have shown, because there is freedom. So freedom and free will, there are two different things. But because the freedom is misunderstood, then we need to have imposed discipline. When there is no inspired discipline, then there is imposed discipline. When there is no legal discipline, then there moral discipline, then there is legal discipline. And that is how we see, even in the most developed countries like US, where people are qualified, they are educated, but still we have got 25%, 25 lakhs of criminals. So 25 lakh criminals, it's too much a big number. It is said that 7,000 children, they drop out from schools, and 45% of them, they become criminals. So we have to understand this concept called freedom. What is the difference between freedom and free will? So there is a difference between freedom and free will. Freedom means to follow the laws of nature, to follow, to obey God and his authority. Whereas free will, it is to follow the desires and the senses of the mind, the dictates of the mind. So when someone is really free, when he is free, he actually experiences happiness. He experiences gratefulness, satisfaction. Whereas when someone is exercising free will, then it is not necessary that he is going to be happy. He may be frustrated. So freedom can ensure a meaningful living, a life of service, and the leaving, that means leaving, the leaving also is blissful. So but when people, when they exercise their free will, maybe their life, their living will become exploitation, and their leaving, that is leaving, their leaving also can be full of frustration. So therefore, when we are talking about education, it is not that modern education is going to ensure all the happiness of this world. Let us take some living examples. For example, 9/11, two planes went and hit the World Trade Centers. Now, who were these people who hit the World Trade Centers with planes? People say they are terrorists, but terrorists, they were educated. They had the great knowledge of aerodynamics and engineering and everything. They were well educated, but still, what was the outcome? The outcome was disaster, destruction, mass killing. There is another example of kidney stealing rackets. So, earlier there were pickpocketeers, and they would pick pockets, and people would be like disturbed that, oh, my pocket is being picked. But today one fine morning we get up, oh, my kidney is gone. Yeah. So who are these simple roadside pickpocketeers who are stealing kidneys? No, they are qualified doctors, they are qualified nurses. So they are also educated people, but something is missing. In 2017, there was the ransomware attack. So this ransomware attack, it was by whom? It was by IT engineers, and they made so many people's life miserable. and there was a lot of suffering. So what I'm trying to say is, we have to find out what is the missing part in our education, in the modern education. There has to be something. Like, there is a story of a person, his goat was not feeling well. The goat had stomachache. So a friend told him, you can go to the mukhiya of the village, the chief of the village. Even his goat had a problem, similar problem. So he can suggest you some solution. So this person goes to the mukhiya, the chief of the village, and asks him, what did you do to your goat the other day? He said, I fed my goat kerosene. So this fellow comes back and compulsorily, tries to register kerosene to his goat. The goat is resisting, but he just feeds him. And then what happens to it? The goat dies. So immediately this fellow, he goes to Mukhiya and starts grumbling. He starts becoming a menace to him. He says, what is this? You killed my goat. He said, but what happened? I did not kill your goat. He said, you told me to make your goat drink kerosene. He said, but I did not. I said, made my goat drink kerosene. Then he said, but you should have asked me what happened to my goat. Even my goat died. So, the conclusion of the story, that when we blindly follow someone before even inquiring what is the result, what are the consequences. So when something is done without knowing the cause and the consequences, we end up being miserable. Indian civilization is the oldest living civilization. China is also old, but China, they had become Buddhists. But then later on, communist communism influenced China. But later on, it was also driven away. But then China did not go back to Buddhism. China, it started competing with America. It took up the lifestyle of America, and today it is actually competing with America. But America itself is speaking about freedom. And freedom, we have just now discussed freedom and free will. So real freedom means getting ourselves free from lust, from greed, from anger, from illusion, from envy. So when that thing comes, that is real freedom. So world is seeing some hope, in India when they look. So there are some, like, for example, today our honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, he is welcomed by America. Why do we think so? Is it that they have got great respect for Indian culture? Maybe. But logical mind says that India is a big market for America. America is also having its own liabilities, and it is having their financial problems and crisis, and they see India as a uh, growing nation, and it is having a great uh, hope. 21st June, what is this date? I'm sure many of you all must be knowing. 21st June is the International Yoga Day. So 193 countries, the citizens of these countries, they rub their nose against the ground, our Mother Earth. They do Surya Namaskar. So why do they do so? Are they very much interested in yoga? They have realized that the importance of yoga. Have they realized it? Logical mind says no. But then why is it? The logical mind would say the world is harassed by so many problems: terrorism, faith conversion, then corruption, then riots and world wars and nude parades and homosexuality and child abuse and drug abuse. So many problems are there in the world today that they are harassed, and they are seeing some hope with this country, India. So Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Bharat bhumite haile manushya janma jar जीवन सार्थक करी कर पर उपकार. So first, ensuring our own holistic health. So I was just trying to introduce this topic because I want that the viewers should come for 5 days. Why this topic is so important. Let us understand the gravity of this. So ensuring the holistic health of ourselves first, जीवन सार्थक करी, and then कर पर उपकार. And this holistic health ensuring should be of the whole world. So holistic health means not just the physical, but we should be healthy physically, mentally, and spiritually. So the body, mind, and soul. In fact, now where I'm sitting right now in the Bhaktivedanta Hospital, uh, I'm the HOD of the Department of Spiritual Care here. So the mission statement of Bhaktivedanta Hospital goes this way: with love and devotion, we will offer everyone a modern, scientific, holistic healthcare service based on true awareness and understanding of the needs of the body, mind, and soul. So, when we say physical health can be known. A doctor checks the vitals. Your BP should be 120/80. Your temperature should be 97.5. Your hemoglobin should be somewhere between 10 and 14. So, like that, there are various parameters by which you understand the physical health. But what is spiritual health? If you have to know your spiritual health, what are the parameters to be seen? Spiritual health means when a person exhibits faith, when he exhibits satisfaction, joy, respect, gratefulness. So all these, they ensure the spiritual health of us. So spirituality is very, very important aspect of our life. So spirituality is the mother of all sciences. Yes, when we are talking about modern science, it is important. However, science and spirituality both must go hand in hand. When the science speaks about what and how, spirituality speaks about why. So, science without spirituality is blind, and spirituality without science is lame. We need both of them to go together and achieve the goal. So, what is the goal? The goal of life is to achieve harmony. Harmony with whom? Harmony with nature, Prakriti. So, knowledge means knowing three things and knowing the relationship between those three. So, the first is God Himself, Ishwara. Second is the living entity, the Jiva. And the third is the nature, Prakriti. So, when the soul's fulfillment of life is when he attains God, he attains Godhead. But what is coming in between him and the Lord? That is the nature, Prakriti. So, unless the Jiva, he deals with the Prakriti and then travels through that journey of dealing with the Prakriti, getting purified while doing that, only then he achieves the Lord. So, in order to be able to deal with Prakriti, with nature, you have to understand it. And therefore, this seminar discusses about Prakriti in full. So, Pancha Kosh are the layers of Prakriti. So, when we are talking about the Pancha Kosh, the five sheets of holistic health, we are actually talking about Prakriti. So, this Prakriti is like a onion who is having all the layers. There are different layers. Just like the onion has if you peel one layer, then there is another layer inside that, right? So in the same way, the human body is also having 5 layers. So that is why it is called Pancha Kosh. So this Pancha Kosh is a very, very important, uh, and this Pancha Kosh is not only about the body, but also there can be a Pancha Kosh of the family. There can be a Pancha Kosh of the nation. There can be a Pancha Kosh of a corporate organization. There can be Pancha Kosh of the entire environment. There can be a Pancha Kosh of the village. If there is any problem in the village, for example, then people go to the Gram Panchayat. Why do they say Panchayat? Why they don't say Chaturtayat? Or why don't they say Shashtayat, Saptayat, Ashtayat? They say Panchayat. So this is an age-old system where there are 5 different individuals who can see the problem through 5 different perspectives, and we are here to learn what are those 5 perspectives. Just like if if a person's nature, if a person's characteristics have to be understood, Ayurveda is one of the systems by which you can understand. You know the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, the three doshas. Through that dosha, you can understand what kind of a personality this person would be. Then there is another science called astrology. An astrologer, if he just if he comes to know your date of birth, your time of birth, and the place of birth, he can exactly tell what kind of a personality this person may be. And again, there is numerology. Through numerology, also people can understand. So, like that, even Panchakosh is another concept by which we can understand a personality. If we have this, if we develop this 5 kind of perceptions, so this entire world is made up of 24 elements, and those 24 elements, even this body is made up of. So if we understand our own body, we can actually deal with all the various units of nature. So let us understand what are these 24 elements. 24 elements, when there was creation, yeah, the first element, Pradhan is the unmanifested state of the modes, and from Pradhan comes the 3 modes of material nature, that is Sattva, Raja, and Tama. So from Sattva, mind and false ego is generated, created, and then from Rajagun, the intelligence is created, and then the element called Akash, ether, is created. And the function of ether is what? To offer space. And then the property of Akash, that is ether, is sound. And sound, to catch sound, the sense is the ear. The ear also was got created. And then the Vayu got created. So Vayu had the same property, sound, but a special property is added to Vayu, and that is touch. So that touch is sensed by skin. So skin also got created. And what is the function of Vayu? To carry things from one place to another. That is the function of them. And then the next tattva, that is the next element, Agni. So Agni has got the property of sound as well as touch. You know, when there is Agni, book 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 book, there is sound also. Then if you touch, then you can feel the heat, and also a special property gets added, that is form. Akash doesn't have form, Vayu does not have form, but Agni, which is grosser than Akash and Vayu, it uh, you know it gets the form, and this form is perceived by eyes. So eyes are also created. And what is the function of fire? the function of fire is illumination. It illuminates. Then Jala is created. And Jala has got the properties of sound, touch, form, and one special property comes, which is the taste. And the taste is caught by the tongue. So tongue is also created, and its function is liquidity. The function of Jala is liquidity. And then Bhumi is created. So Bhumi again has got the property of sound, touch, form, taste, and a special property is added, and that is smell. And to smell, nose is also created. And the function of Bhumi is solidity. So in this way, there are five elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Then there are five properties, that is the sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. And then there are five senses: the ear, skin, eyes, tongue, and the nose. In this way, these 15 elements are there. Then earlier we talked about pradhan, then false ego, intelligence, and mind. And then there are five working senses, that is the hand, the legs, the belly, genitals, and the rectum. So in this way, these 24 elements, they form this human body, and this human body actually is having five koshas. The five koshas, that is the Annamay Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, Vigyanmaya Kosh, and Anandamaya Kosh. So these are the five layers. The outermost layer is the Annamaya Kosh, and the kosha which follows that inside is the Pranamaya Kosh. Inside the Pranamaya Kosh there is Manomaya Kosh. Inside the Manomaya Kosh there is Vijnanmaya Kosh, and the innermost layer is the Anandamaya Kosh. So these five koshas, they cover the soul. Now to understand this, I would let us take an exercise. I will tell you one name, and as soon as you hear that name, uh, we all can meditate on the properties, the characteristics of that person. The name is His Divine Grace Abhay Charanar Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, our beloved Srila Prabhupada. So, what all thoughts, what all feelings, what words come to our mind? Yes, he was a strong man, healthy person. He was majestic. He was sattvic. He was an author. He was a scholar. He was a preacher. He was a saint. He was a strategic planner. He was kind. He was courageous. He was humble. He was a decision maker. He was very innovative. So, like that, so many words come to our knowledge. Now, just like in our temple, when we go, we see the deity of Prabhupada. So let us take an example. There are five children. They come and see Prabhupada's deity. So the first one who comes and sees Prabhupada, he says, "Oh, Prabhupada, wow, such a beautiful deity, and it looks so real, as if Prabhupada is going to start speaking to us right now." So now this first person, he's seeing the deity, but he's only seeing the external beauty of the deity. The second person, he comes, and when he sees the same deity, he says, "Oh, Prabhupada, he was such a wonderful author. He used to play mridang so wonderfully, and he gave such wonderful, fantastic classes, and how he defeated all the notorious scientists and journalists, and how he taught them a great lesson." So when that child is speaking about Prabhupada in this way, he is seeing through karma drishti. He's seeing through the Pranamaya Kosh. He's seeing the skills and talents of Srila Prabhupada. Whereas the first child, he was seeing the physical aspect of Prabhupada. So he was seeing through the Charma Drishti. So there is a Charma Drishti, there is a Karma Drishti, then there is a Marma Drishti. The third child, he comes and he sees Prabhupada, the same deity, and he says, "Oh Prabhupada, how kind he was towards his disciples, how sensitive he was towards everybody." And one day when he was entering the temple, he saw some beggars searching food in the dustbin. He started crying, and he immediately decided that 10 kilometers radius of any temple of ISKCON, no one should be hungry. Such a big decision. So when he is speaking such language about Prabhupada, he is seeing the same deity but through the Marma Drishti. So he is seeing through the Manomay Kosh. He is seeing the sensitivity of Srila Prabhupada. And then the fourth child, when he sees the same deity, he says, "Oh Prabhupada, what fantastic intelligence he had! Book distribution, such a great project. BBT, such a great project. And the standard of deity worship all around the world was so well established by Srila Prabhupada. Wow!" And then how Srila Prabhupada gave us the wonderful principles of no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. Just 5 regulative principles, and see what wonderful life we are living. Such quality life. We are living high standards of wonderful lifestyle. So, this person, he's seeing Srila Prabhupada, deity, but he's seeing through Vivek Drishti. He's seeing through the Vijnanmay Kosh. He's seeing how Srila Prabhupada has got the power of discrimination. And then the fifth child, when he comes in front of Srila Prabhupada, he says, "Oh, how surrendered this man was towards his Gurudev, just for fulfilling the orders of his Gurudev. He left Vrindavan, and he made such a wonderful home in which the whole world can live in." So when he's seeing such, having such thoughts, that means he's seeing the same deity but with Bhava Drishti. He's seeing through the Anandamay Kosha. He's seeing how grateful was Srila Prabhupada, and he also is feeling grateful towards Prabhupada. He can even identify himself with the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So these are the various perceptions. As I said, there are 5 koshas: Annamay Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Manomay Kosh, Vijnanmay Kosh, and Anandamay Kosh. So these 5 koshas have got 5 perceptions: the Charma Drishti, the Karma Drishti, the Marma Drishti, the Vivek Drishti, and last is the Bhava Drishti. So now, after creating much interest in this subject matter, let us try to understand what elements, what domain, and what functions, and in their purified states, what are these 5 koshas? So first, let us take about elements. So Annamay Kosh is made up of the 5 elements, that is earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the 5 elements of which the Annamay Kosha is made up of. The Pranamaya Kosha is made up of 72,000 nadis, astral tubes, through which the 5 life airs: Pran, Apan, Saman, Udan, Vyan. These 5 life airs, they flow through these Ida, Pingala, Sushumna. So these are the names, various names of these nadis, and there are 72,000 in all over the body. So we'll be discussing both Annamay Kosh and Pranamay Kosh in much details tomorrow. This is just the introductory for today's discussion. Then Manomay Kosh is made up of mind, the element mind. Mind is also matter, subtle, but it is also matter, and of which the Manomay Kosh is made up of. And then the Vijnanmay Kosh is made up of intelligence. And the last Kosh, Anandamay Kosh, it is made up of Chitta, or you can say false ego. So, in this way, these 4 koshas, they have got those elements. Then we talk about the domain. What is the domain of Annamay Kosh? The Annamay Kosh, uh, the domain is the height, weight, chest, hearing capacity, smelling capacity, tasting capacity, then your muscles, your bones, your hair growth. So all these, your bodily beauty, your bodily nourishment. So all these things, they are the domain of the Annamay Kosh. And then what is the domain of Pranamaya Kosh? The energy levels, the skill, talent, gati. So all the activities, they happen only because of this one kosha out of the five. The Pranamaya Kosha actually ensures the activities, the skills, the talents, the energy levels of that person. That is the domain of Pranamaya Kosha. Then the Manomaya Kosha. What is the domain of Manomaya Kosha? The Manomaya Kosha's domain is, focus, peace, detachment, freedom from anarthas, freedom from duality, then good behavior. So all these things are the domain of the Manomaya Kosha. Then Vijnanmaya Kosha, the domain of Vijnanmaya Kosha is memory, then foresightedness, broad-mindedness. So all these things, power of discrimination, decision making. So all these things are the domain of Vijnanmaya Kosha. And then the last is Anandamay Kosha. The domain of Anandamay Kosha is, uh, we can say fearlessness, then stability, then forgiveness, realization, satisfaction. So all these things, when we see in a person, that is the domain of the Anandamay Kosha. Then let us talk about the functions. Functions of Annamaya Kosha. It is the medium for other koshas to act. Like for example, the Manomaya Kosha. If there is a desire to eat a rasagulla or a gulab jamun, hmm, so to fulfill that desire, you need a tongue, you need a hand, you need a belly. That means the Annamaya Kosha. So Annamaya Kosha is a medium for other koshas to perform. Then it also is a food storing. That is the function, storing the energy, food and all. Then again, bodily attraction, to attract others, the bodily beauty. That is also the function of the Annamaya Kosha. And last, of course, reproduction. So these are the functions of the Annamaya Kosha. Now what are the functions of Pranamaya Kosha? Pranamaya Kosha, all the systems in the body, like perception, like when we see, we hear, we taste, we touch, so all these uh, activities, the perception, the root of this, the support, the main on which these perceptions are happening, it is the Pranamaya Kosha. Then digestion, excretion, then circulation, then thought process. So all these activities, they are taken care of by the Pranamaya Kosha. That these are the functions of Pranamaya Kosha, and that is how a person develops skills and talent. Then the function of the Manomaya Kosha is to respond to the desires, or we can say thinking, feeling, and willing, and with taking guidance from the intelligence to fulfill those desires. This is basically the function of the mind. And then the Vijnanmay Kosha. The Vijnanmay Kosha, the function of Vijnanmay Kosha is to offer proper guidance, taking into consideration the past experience and the present options, analyzing them well, and then giving a right solution. So that is the function of the Vijnanmay Kosha. And last is the Anandamay Kosha. So Anandamay Kosha, it is to remain equipoised, to have self-realization, to emancipation. So all these things are the actual functions of the Anandamay Kosha. So when all these five koshas, they are purified, that is the time when they function to the fullest. And why we are not able to uh, you know function properly because they are impure in their state. So when the Annamay Kosha is purified, a person becomes healthy. When the Pranamaya Kosha is purified, the person becomes skillful and talented. When the Manomaya Kosha is purified, the person becomes sensitive. And when the Vijnanmaya Kosha is purified, a person becomes wise, conscientious. And last, when the person becomes, when he is his Anandamaya Kosh is purified, he becomes grateful. So a complete man is not the one who wears a Raymond suit. The complete man is he who is healthy, skillful, talented, who is sensitive, who is viveki, that means wise or conscientious, and who is grateful. So such a person becomes an asset to the uh, to the whole world. He becomes a welfare worker, you know, and such people are reliable. They make this world a better place to live, and that is the purpose of this science called Panchakosh. So when they concentrate on their various koshas, when they focus on their various koshas and try to purify those koshas by trying to understand what are those things which we'll be learning from tomorrow, what are the things required to purify them, and then he takes it up in their life, and then they become a really useful people in the world. So before I end my talk today, just give me just 5-10 minutes more. I'll be speaking about the two important principles of Panchakosh. So the first very important principle of Panchakosh is that the external kosha, for example, Annamay Kosh, it should nourish or support the the next inner kosha. That means, like, the Annamaya Kosha must nourish and support the Pranamaya Kosha. If it doesn't, then that Annamaya Kosha, though it is very strong, very beautiful, it is useless. If it doesn't support or nourish the next, like a person who may be really very beautiful, very muscular, but he doesn't have any uh, skills or talents, then what is the use of that beauty? Similarly, when the Annamay Kosh and the Pranamay Kosh, they both are very strong, very nice, very pure. But if they don't nourish and support the next kosha, that is the Manomay Kosha, then they both are useless. If the person is insensitive, if he is not sensitive towards others, then his Pranamay Kosha and his, just like modern day Bollywood actors, they are so insensitive towards, they are very beautiful, they are talented, but they are insensitive towards the needs of the nation. Sometimes you can see, sometimes, right? So that means they become useless. So the sensitivity also should be there. And then suppose if a person is strong, healthy, beautiful, and he has got skills and talents of the Pranamaya Kosha, and he is also sensitive, but if he is not conscientious, if he is not having the power of discrimination about what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what is dharma, what is adharma, then again all the other three, even though they are good, they are useless. They must nourish and support the Vijnanmaya Kosha. And at last, if all the four koshas are good, and if they don't nourish and support the Anandamaya Kosha to, to help the individual to become grateful, then all the four koshas are. A person may not have a good Annamaya Kosha, but if he is really grateful, then that is something good. That is something desirable. We can have, there are so many lame, crippled, blind people, but they are wonderful spiritualists, so that is good. But if the outer koshas, if they are really good, then they must support and nourish the inner koshas. That is the thing we have to understand in Panchakosh. Then the second thing is what I want to say is that all these koshas are actually they function only because of the presence of soul in the body. So we know that the symptom of soul is consciousness. When that consciousness enters into the Annamay Kosha, then through the senses we can perceive, there is perception. When that consciousness enters into the Pranamaya Kosha, then there is skills and talents. When uh, that consciousness enters the element of mind, then there is feelings, emotions. When that same consciousness enters into the intelligence, the element called intelligence, then there is wisdom, then there is power of discrimination. And when that consciousness enters into the chitta, or we can say false ego, then there is the expression of gratefulness felt. So this one very important aspect, that is the spiritual aspect, of course must not be, though we are going to study these all the five koshas, which is nothing but the format of nature, the prakriti, but still we have to understand that the knowledge of spirituality, the soul, is ultimately very very important. So when we learn this science, what happens? Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Let us pray. Let us say that prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So why Shanti three times? Because there are three realms, the microcosm, the macrocosm, and the neocosm. So let there be peace at all the levels, at the Adi Bhautika, at the Adi Daivika, and the Adhyatmika. So at all the levels, let there be peace, harmony, and let everyone be happy. And how that happiness is achieved? By following this science from India, the Pancha Kosha. When we understand this, today we have got smart kids, but they are not grateful to their parents, to the society, to the nation. So why? Because we have been not seeing these aspects of Panchakosha. And once this comes in the curriculum, and that is why that was my special agenda of, or my, you can say, reason to write the book, the handbook on Panchakosh. Someday, this will come in the education curriculum. So let us all pray that this happens sometimes. But for today, I think I have taken a few minutes more. I'm sorry we started a bit late because of some things had to be done in the net. I'm not a net savvy person, so please forgive me for my shortcomings. And I urge to all of you, all those who are attending the class today, I request you to please come for the next 4 days also, where we'll be discussing these koshas individually. Annamay Kosha. So tomorrow we'll be doing Annamay Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, and if time permits, we will also speak about the Manomay. We'll start the Manomay Kosha. If not, we'll finish with whatever is there in the timetable. So thank you very much, and please join us again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.